Hello everyone. So I just wanted to do a book haul today. These books are all brand new from Amazon. I usually don't buy so many books brand new. I try to stick to thrift stores because I do end up with a lot of books and I do end up unhauling them quite frequently, especially if I didn't like it. But in this case, there was a huge sale on Amazon this week, the Amazon Prime Day deals. And so I took advantage of that and I was able to get a bunch of books off my wish list that have been on my wish list for a while that I really wanted. And also, I've been kind of depressed recently. So I was kind of buying the books to help with my depression because it always cheers me up. And I think I do feel a little better. I know it's not the best way. Buying things is not a good way to treat depression, but oh well, what's done is done. And so I wanted to show you what I got. I got The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay. This was on a lot of lists and was also a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. So really excited to get my hands on this book. I got If We Were Villains, which is dark academia. That's why I bought it. I heard it compared to A Secret History, which I loved. So I'm actually really excited to read this one. This seems like a really fun book in my taste. And then Solaris by Stanislav Lem. This book was recommended by a YouTuber I really respect. So I wanted to grab it. Plus it's science fiction, which I love. I love science fiction. I got the Copenhagen trilogy, which was on the best books of the 21st century list. So I really wanted to get my hands on this. Unfortunately, some of these books did come damaged, including this one. This one was smeared in a black goo, and I got most of it off, but the pages are still damaged, so Amazon is going to send me another copy, and I just have to return this one. And then I got two books by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is an author I've been wanting to get into, but I haven't yet. I did read one of her books. I don't remember which one. It wasn't her. It wasn't a very well-known book, and I did not care for it at all. It was very bland, but these two I heard are amazing, so I'm excited to get into those. And then I got Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, which has been coming up on a lot of favorite lists, and I am really getting into Stoicism. I'm reading books by Ryan Holiday. I just finished a book by him that was really helpful to me in dealing with my mental health, so I wanted to get this one as well. And I got Howl's Moving Castle, which I read 10 years ago from the library, and I loved it. And I love the movie, the Disney movie. It's amazing. So I was really excited to get my hands on another copy and read it again, and maybe get my kids to read it. I got The New Jim Crow, which was definitely on one of the lists. And this book almost had a perfect rating, so I was super excited to get my hands on this one. Really looking forward to that. Because this is mass incarceration. I don't think I have too many books on that or read too many books on that, so that'd be an interesting subject for me to dive into. Same thing with Biased. This came up, somebody recommended this as a very, very good book for nonfiction writers. It's about prejudice, and I do read books on prejudice, so I thought this was a good addition to that. Because a lot of times it's not what you think. Like, you think it's so simple, racism is so simple, but it's really not. It's actually extremely complicated. I also got What My Bones Know. This is a book about healing from complex trauma. And again, this was just so highly recommended and highly rated for people who like nonfiction. And I got Underworld by Don DeLillo. I did read his book White Noise a couple months ago, and I thought it was I can't say I loved it. I think maybe if I read it again, I might love it. It was odd, but in a good way. But I am excited to read Underworld because this is his masterpiece. And I think it was the finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, and he won a lot of awards for it. And yeah, so I wanted something like really well rated by this author because I like the way he writes. I also got Virgin Suicides. This has been on my list for a long time, and this is such a pretty book. And I really, really, really liked his collection of short stories, which I read last year. And I haven't read Middlesex yet. I started it, but I didn't get very far. But this one I've heard is incredible, and this keeps coming up on like people's favorites lists, so wanted to get my hands on that. And then I got How Your Brain on Art. This has been on my list for a while. It's actually, as soon as it came out, I wanted to read this. So I think I'm really excited to read that one. And The Cartoon History of the Modern World. This is part 1. I have part 2 already, and I've been wanting to start it, but I haven't yet. So now I can start part 1, and this is really cute. It's just the history, United States history. World history. Actually, if it's world history, why does it start with the Columbus and the U.S. Constitution? I don't know. I guess it's more like United States related. So anyway, I want to read the whole series because that's fascinating. And then I got The Humans, which is by Matt Haig, and this is the author of The Midnight Library and How to Stop Time. I really liked The Midnight Library. I did not like How to Stop Time, but this book came highly recommended by a friend of mine who just read it, and she thought I would really like it. And I wanted to get my hands on it. The concept of the aliens observing humanity was a very interesting book idea for me, so to maybe want to read it. I also got The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. I just heard such great things, and it was so well rated. That's another YouTuber recommendation. And then Brooklyn, I didn't know much about this, so I ended up looking it up to see what it's about. And oh, it was so exciting. I was so excited to get this one because the story is just beautiful. And then I guess there's a movie that either already came out a while ago. Not sure, but anyway, it looked really good. So that sounds fun. It looks it's fun to get some love stories. I think some of these are love stories. And then this, with A Way of Kings, this is another science fiction novel that made one of the lists, the reader's response list. I don't remember if this was on the New York Times list. If it is, they all kind of blend in together. I just kind of consider them as one list. But this was on one of the lists, and it is science fiction, so I was super excited to read it. And then I'm currently reading the 5th season, which also made the list, and I'm not really enjoying it as much as I thought I would, because the problem is I was able to predict the big spoiler, like from almost the 3rd chapter, which annoyed me. But this one is even better rated, so I'm excited for that one. And then I got Stephen King's. This is the book that he tried to put on the list because he was one of the people who was interviewed for the New York Times list, and he wanted this book on there by him. And it did make the reader's response list, which I thought was funny. So I wanted to get my hands on it because the story is very interesting, and I've heard really good things about this one. And then I did grab a couple books from the thrift store the other day. I got Year of Wonder, and this was also on my list, so that's why I grabbed it. This is really cool. This is just, every day you just put on a piece of music, and then it gives you a little description of it. So it's kind of like a day-by-day classical music experiment, which I kind of wanted to go through. That sounds really fun for me. I got this brand new copy of Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, and I don't have it yet, so wanted to get better at Jane Austen. I got Behind the Beautiful Forevers, and I grabbed this one again because it was on the list, on the New York Times list. It was interesting. And then this was cool. Temperament: How Music Became a Battleground for the Great Mind of Western Civilization. This one's the reason I grabbed it was it was on the shelf right next to the Year of Wonder, and I just looked it up, and it sounded very interesting, exactly like the type of book I would read. So I grabbed it, and then finally I got The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I did read this book a very long time ago, many, many years ago, probably before my kids were born. And I thought it was very good. I liked it a lot. I didn't end up continuing the series. I think I got a chapter into the sequel, and then I gave up. I don't know. I do want to kind of revisit it. It was only $1, so it wasn't a huge investment. But it did make some of the lists, and I did want to give it one more go, just to kind of remind myself, because I do remember it was a fun read. I think it was a little disturbing, which turned me off, but I've been reading so many different types of books recently, so many disturbing books, that I want to see how my ability to deal with disturbing books has changed, and maybe I'm a little better at stomaching them now. Anyway, so I'm really excited about all the new books that I'm adding to my shelves, and I am still going through another big on haul, just kind of going through all my read books, unread books, like trying to really figure out what I want for 2025, what kind of reading experience, what kind of reader am I. And luckily, since most of my books are used, it's not a huge investment that I made when I unhaul them. Anyway, thank you for watching.